Hey, it's Fen and I'm back again with another art process video. This one is going to be part one of another two-parter, but luckily this time each video is one version of this character. So there's version 1 in this one and version 2 in the other one. Version 2 is more of an extension of the first one. This time I'm doing another D&D PC. This is my Aasimar Warlock, LaRue Delanois. I'm pretty sure I've been pronouncing her last name wrong since I first saw it. I think it's supposed to be Delanois. I'm not really sure, but I don't speak French, so I'm sorry if you do speak French and I'm butchering it. My bad, I'm very American. Once again, there is a little bit of a skip later on, but this time it's because I forgot to start the screen cap when I was working on like filters, I think. So yeah, for the voiceover for these two videos, I'm just going to be talking about the character LaRue herself, as her current iteration, some of the jobs that she's done, and hopefully by the end of this video, if not it'll be the next video, I will touch on her backstory. A quick warning before we get any farther into this, there is going to be some adult language. I am going to be cussing, and there is going to be some fake blood later, closer to the end, so just be want to watch out for that. I can't remember what the minute mark is. I'll try and put something on the screen to let people know that there's going to be something. As in previous videos, I really hope you enjoy, and please let me know what you think. So LaRue is my main PC on the same server that Menhit is in. LaRue is currently level 9 and is one of the highest level members of the guild. There's only one member who is a higher level. He's level 10, but he's on hardcore mode, so that makes sense. I don't know if I mentioned in the Menhit videos, but I actually joined this server at the beginning of quarantine because it was quarantine and I was bored. Actually, Loops player suggested that I befriend the server god and ask if I could play. The very first mission, I actually put another PC who ended up not liking, so he's in the archive. And so I decided to bring up LaRue because I built her a couple months before and I hadn't had the chance to try her out yet. At the time, though, I didn't realize that the server god had a very small list of races and classes that were allowed. Even though I skimmed the PDF that he posted for the setting, somehow I either missed it or just completely forgot that there was an approved list. And Aasimar were not on that list, neither were Tabaxi, but it turns out that he was still testing things and didn't mind that I kind of messed up. Ben, if you ever watch any of my videos and you see this one, I'm sorry for that. Thank you for being understanding and putting up with my shenanigans. I love you. You guys are great. As I said in the beginning, LaRue is my Aasimar Warlock. If you're not familiar with D&D, you probably know what an Aasimar is. Basically, Aasimar are the race in D&D with a celestial heritage or ancestry. So they're basically descended from angels. There are 3 kinds of Aasimar. There are the Protector, the Scourge, and the Fallen Aasimar. LaRue is a Fallen Aasimar. Basically, she's the bad kind. Fallen Aasimar have turned to or have been touched by evil. So like the light that they get from their celestial ancestry is dim or completely out, and darkness has set in. And considering the nature of Fallen Aasimar, I decided to make LaRue my evil PC. Neutral evil, actually. She is a Pact of the Tome Great Old One Warlock. Her patron is actually one of the gods in the setting. His name is Mandos, and he is the god of death and doom. He was one of 3 neutral gods in the setting, and I thought it would be pretty apt for my fallen Aasimar to serve a death god, especially when he was chaotic neutral. When I first thought her up, LaRue was actually pretty heavily inspired by Dr. Facilier from Disney's The Princess and the Frog, which is also kind of why she's evil, because that's one of the great things about D&D, that the spectrum of alignment is very open. But she really evolved from that original concept. Still has influenced by voodoo in a way. Like originally she carried a black tarot deck instead of a book of shadows, and one of the features of a fallen Aasimar is called Necrotic Shroud, and I imagine that as having an influence from voodoo, which you will see in the next video. I don't want to get into it, but that's where the inspiration for that came from. Making an evil PC for D&D was actually really interesting, because most of my PCs so far have been chaotic neutral or chaotic good. I honestly didn't want her to be too typical of a evil PC, which is why I decided to go with her alignment being neutral evil. The thing is, like, I see a lot of D&D PCs who are evil that are basically a caricature of somebody with really extreme antisocial personality disorder, so a psychopath. It's like people can only think of Jeffrey Dahmer or like the Joker when they think of an evil character, when really evil is a spectrum. So you can go from Kingpin to the Joker, and there's a bunch in between there, whether you realize it or not. So if you're going like on that kind of a spectrum where, you know, there's Kingpin to the Joker, LaRue sits kind of around where Deathstroke sits on the spectrum. She actually just kind of does what she wants when she wants, and it's all for completely selfish reasons. Everything she does is for herself and for her own benefit in some way, when she can control it. And I've always imagined her kind of evil as being very subtle. She doesn't want to out herself as being a bad person, quote unquote bad person, because it could end pretty badly for her. So she's very subtle with how she does everything that she does. So, like, LaRue doesn't go around actively trying to convert anyone to Mando's service. And she's not running around sowing discord everywhere she goes. She just genuinely doesn't care about anybody else or what they want, except for, like, a few very, very, very select people. And it's only the people that she feels close to. She's the biggest bitch in the entire guild. Very foul-mouthed, very selfish, and she's always making mean comments to people when she feels like it, or if they say something she doesn't like. She's unrepentant about pretty much anything she does to just about everybody. She steals things regularly, and she never does non-lethal damage in a fight, even when it's been declared. And don't kill him. She doesn't care. She's always gonna go for the kill. She takes a trophy from every fight, and they're pretty gnarly. Usually it's the teeth of something that she has helped kill. And she never tells the full truth. In everything that she says, there's a little bit of a lie, there's an omission, something is a little bit of deception in there. At the same time, though, she's so charismatic, and she actually makes friends pretty easily when she wants to. And actually she has a love interest, and it's cute, to be honest, if I do say so. And you know what, believe it or not, LaRue has a reason for why she is the way she is. She wasn't born evil. It's just she has a reason, part of her backstory. Like I said, it's not antisocial personality disorder. She kind of made a choice. So yeah. Since I started on the Discord, we've had some pretty amazing fights and missions. There were so many battles, a lot of close calls. We've almost lost people a few times, but mostly it's just been a lot of fun, and it's been great since I started with them. The second fight that we were in, actually, I think, solidified like what I call the big six of the guild, minus one PC who was added later. Um, we had to like go find a seamstress's daughter who was kidnapped by goblins, and we ended up finding out they weren't goblins. It was actually a person, or so we thought, and the the seamstress daughter met this person while she was working at her job as an escort, which was found out along the way, and we ended up actually fighting goblins, and like bugbears, and actually some people, and a drow who was actually the person who, he was like masquerading as a regular like human dude, and our wizard, it was his first fight, and oh gosh, I took his kill. I felt bad about it when I realized, but like LaRue wouldn't feel bad. She does that on a regular basis. Ended up like the daughter didn't want to go back to her mom, but we took her anyway. And then we realized that the mom was a fucking bitch. Like she wanted to like lock her daughter up forever, and we were all like, nope, we're taking her back. Bye. It was that's the kind of stuff. That's the kind of shit we do. So the big six, as I personally call them, the people that LaRue regularly work with, are going to be Torbrick, Demon Caller Cinderbeard, who is a dwarven binder. That's from Middlefinger of Vecna. And then there is Yavik Duzan, who I mentioned in Menhit's video, a Loxodon cleric. There is Kraval, who is a Goliath barbarian totem of the bear, and he's actually one of LaRue's best friends. Then there is Toyve, he's a baby, and he is a human paladin druid multi-class. And lastly is Tayun, who is our human wizard and LaRue's other best friend. The six of our characters have defended Umberland to their own detriment, obviously, and risen up together in the guild. We've gone through so many adventures and we've done so many cool things. It's been absolutely amazing. There was actually a point where we fought zombie bees, mildly creepy for me. That's actually the session in which she started feeling like she might be friends with Kraval and Tiyun, because there was a point where they took care of her when she had her strength zapped, and her strength was a 3 out of 20, which if you play D&D you'll know that's pretty low for a strength score. It was really sweet, and she wasn't expecting it at all, but it kind of endeared them to her, and she's kind of never gone back. So they're really close. Enough so that another player honestly thought we were gonna have them as a throuple, love triangle them, but no, LaRue has her love interest and she doesn't share. But she does think that Kraval and Tayun are the cutest couple, and she was pushing Kraval to make a move for a while. And recently, they actually started dating in game, and it's great, and I love it, and it's perfect. It's honestly perfect. I love it. So there was thinking about it, a couple of months ago, there was actually a mission. I don't remember the mission itself, but it did happen with all, the big six. And, well, actually, I think somebody wasn't there. Toyve wasn't there. But after the mission, at the end of the mission, Torbrick killed a person who was surrendering, and Torbrick is another evil PC on the server. So he killed a character who was surrendering, and LaRue tried to kill a character who was running away. And Yavik, who is diametrically opposed to Torbrick somehow, and pretty badly. Got so mad at Torbrick. So long story short, Yavik killed Torbrick, and LaRue got pissed. I mean, Yavik can bring him back because he's a cleric, so he has a resurrection spell, but it didn't matter to LaRue. LaRue was mad because you don't kill allies in any situation. She tried to step in, and she didn't really help at all, but I mean, she tried to convince him and it didn't work. We should have rolled for it. I don't think we did. But at that point, Yavik was on LaRue's shit list. It's not easy to get off her shit list. But then recently, in our most recent mission, we went north of Umberland to a smaller town where they hadn't heard from their sister city in a few weeks to a month. They're like trading cities or something like that. We ended up meeting the mayor, I guess is who he was, and he was a complete asshole. Like, I really can't. And we messed with him because he was a dick. Like, Craval drank all of his whiskey in one of those, like, really big fancy decanters. LaRue stole a glass, and she was being pretty rude and moving around his shit. We were just, I mean, if you get 6 adventurers in a smallish office with a guy that gives off like a bad vibe, it's not gonna end too well. We were very uncouth. I loved it. It was great RP. And then afterwards, we kind of derailed the flow of the mission because we were like, let's RP some more. And Craval went to like the only shop in the entire town and bought out their entire supply of whiskey. They only had 7 bottles, to be fair. We were messing around and RPing, and somebody was splashing around in a fountain, and a guard came over and was like, hey, you can't do that, that's not allowed. And Yavik walked up to the guard and said, hey, no, it's okay, we're here on a mission, we have a letter. And reasoned away our shenanigans to a guard. Yavik, who is a lawful good character, decided it was okay to break the rules, and instantly LaRue was like, oh my gosh, I'm not mad at you anymore, that was great. And off her shit list. It took a long time, to be fair, for him to get off her shit list, but it was perfect. I loved it. And then we ended up continuing with the mission, obviously, and the sister city actually had been attacked by gnolls, and there was nobody left. It was completely ravaged. It was bad. And they were trying to summon some demon lord, and I mean, obviously we killed them, and then we went home. Not before messing with that mayor again, though. It was, oh my gosh, I love when we can RP and be ridiculous. It's great. Honestly, all of the adventures and missions that LaRue has been on have been so much fun, and the RP with her in the Guildhall RP that we have has been, well, it was great when it was active. It's not active anymore. It was in the RP that she revealed her backstory to Craval and LaRue, and they're like her only friends, really. Not really, but she had a bit of a heart-to-heart with Trindis a few times, never in as much depth as with Craval and Tiyun, but it's just been as meaningful to her to have these heart-to-hearts with them. Over the course of this time that I've been in here, she's actually gained a corruption point, which isn't that bad. Her bane is that she can't open anything that requires a twisting motion, so she actually had to have her the lock on her door changed from a twisting lock, a key lock, to a latch. And Tiyun cast Arcane Lock on the door for her and gave her a password, and it would have been great. But she can use Ray of Enfeeblement once a day, which is nice. And she's also learned to use alchemist tools, which is pretty useful. But yeah, all in all, it's been pretty great. I honestly love the server. And it actually looks like we're getting close to the end of the video. So, I'm gonna be telling her backstory and a little bit more information on her in the next one. I'll tell what's going on with it and what the design is and all of that. So you'll be seeing that. You'll get both versions of her backstories because I'll have time for it. So look out for it. As always, there will be links to my music sources, my video editor, and my Instagram down in the description. If you stuck around and enjoyed watching my process, please consider giving me a thumbs up on the video. I will be very appreciative. And also say hi in the comments. I will most likely say hi back. Again, thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you next time. Bye!